Hi, welcome back. I've got another Wuben flashlight for you. As you guys know, I absolutely love Wuben products. They're very well made, they're well priced, and they're really innovative. I think they're probably the most innovative of flashlight companies that I've dealt with. We've reviewed about 2 or 3 on here before. I love the form factors of them. They tend to be on the smaller side. That's my preference for flashlights. I don't need anything gigantic, but they also have some really high outputs if you're looking for high lumen stuff as well. This falls directly into that category. It's small in form factor but large in output. It is the E7. So this is a little clip light. You know, you can fix it to a backpack, you can use it and magnetize it onto a surface. I'll show you that in a second. But you can also fix it to a headband. I haven't actually got the headband. I wanted these for something entirely different. I'm using these in the workshop. A lot of people would use these specifically for the headband. They might do that for cycling, they might do it for fishing, loads and loads of different nighttime activities that I can think of, rambling, whatever. So really useful in that respect. There are a couple of other little accessories you can buy to go along with this, especially if you're going to use it with the headband. I'll throw up a couple of links so you can see all the different bits and pieces you can get with it. We'll go over the specs of this and I'll tell you guys what I like about it. Of course, the first thing I like is the fact it's only 2.38 inches long. Some of you guys might get a bit confused when we measure things in inches, but that's what 2.38 inches actually looks like, guys. So you can see really good form factor, nice and compact, and it only weighs 54 grams without battery, 80 grams with. So obviously that's not going to be a problem if you're carrying it on a backpack, hooking it onto a pocket or a belt loop or something like that, but also not an issue if you choose to wear it with the headband feature. Then it's not going to weigh you down too much. You could always clip it to your front pocket or one of the straps on a backpack, and it just makes a really convenient little light. We have the power button on the top there, and just so you know, I did buy a couple of these because I've got some uses for them outdoors in the shed. And we have a lovely anodized sort of olive drab green version. I really like that color, very cool indeed. We have this, which is a matte black, also looks really nice, and they are, as per usual, made of aluminium, really well engineered. Always a pleasure to hold these things. They're nice and tactile. There's something about well crafted aluminium or metallic objects that generally guys just sort of like to get them in the hand, hold them, move them around, and appreciate the machining on those. We have the on-off button on the top there, and when you turn it on, it does just give you a little flash that lets you know that it's on, and it also lets you know that the battery capacity is reasonable. Behind that, we've just got this tab which you can open up, rubber tab there covering up the USB that we would use to recharge this, and that obviously helps it remain waterproof to a degree. It's IP68, which, if memory serves me correctly, is 2 meters underwater for up to an hour, and this should come out and be absolutely fine. I would always advocate that you don't dunk these things in water if you can help it, but just know that if you do get it wet, if you're using it on a rainy day or something like that, it's going to be pretty well protected. Think about it the same way as you would think about a phone. A couple of the phones I've had have been IP68. That doesn't mean I'm going to go swimming with them or chuck them in a lake. It does mean that I don't worry too much if I go out and it's really horrible conditions. If I want to take some video and it's pouring with rain, I don't worry about that too much. So it's just nice to have. It's not a suggestion you should actually take these things underwater for prolonged periods of time. There's always going to be inherent risk to that. We have, of course, the pocket clip on the back, as usual, steel, and it's really strong. That's going to be a good firm hold on whatever you clip it on. And also, I like the fact that it's not going to mark up your clothes because it's got a nice flat surface behind it, and it hasn't got any knurling or anything. I hate it when they put loads of knurling and stuff around pocket clips, because if you've paid a lot of money for a pair of trousers and you take that on and off a few times, next time you look at them, they've absolutely been ruined. So yeah, it would probably maybe keep it on there a little bit better with friction, but I would rather they just gave you a really sturdy pocket clip like this one that's actually quite difficult to move. You know, it's very strong. That's going to keep it on your trousers and it's not going to rip the pockets to pieces. Same thing on straps and stuff like that. Over time, if it's got knurling, then it's going to ruin whatever you're clipping it to. You can see the battery compartment here, so we just undo that. We have an O-ring on there, and then the battery in here, 1100 milliamps an hour, 18350. Now, one of the popular accessories for these is actually a battery extender. It's basically an elongated version of this bottom piece that screws in, and that will allow an 18650 to be used if you really do need extra capacity for your battery. Now, this has a number of modes. We'll go through what that battery actually gives you. It's plenty for my use case. So we first click it once, that takes you to the low setting. If you then hold that down, takes it up again to the higher setting. You can see pretty decent. And then again to the highest in these three settings. So we have 5 lumens, 150 lumens and 400 lumens. More than enough for pretty much anything that I can think of that you would use this type of light for. You've got 60 hours at 5 lumens, and 5 lumens is great. That is absolutely ideal for camping or something. If you need to do a bit of reading in your tent, or you just want something to sit there and give you a bit of light at night but not be too blinding, you know, you could still go to sleep with 5 lumens running. It doesn't get too hot. Then this is absolutely ideal. 4.5 hours in medium, which again, very useful. I mean, most of your illumination cases, if you're out somewhere in the dark, that would be more than enough to light your way. Then we got 1.3 hours at 400 lumens. If that is not enough for you, you can double click on this. It'll stick it into turbo mode. In turbo, you have 1800 lumens. Now, as a safety feature, like many of the Wuben flashlights, that will run in 1800 lumens for 1 minute. They tend to get really hot, all flashlights do. Many companies don't have a safety feature, so if you run it at full capacity, very cool, but then the thing gets so hot it either burns the hell out of your hand or it will actually set things on fire. If you did go to 1800 lumens, after a minute it will dial itself down to 800 lumens. It will do that for another minute, then it will dial itself down again to the 400 lumen setting, and it will run at that for the 1.3 hours as we discussed before. So really good. You know, it prevents you from leaving this on. One of the worst things you could do with these type of flashlights is if you had no safety feature at all like that, you stuck it on at 1800 lumens, you left it in a backpack or something, forgot about it, zipped everything up, and then it just kept running and running in there, you would have a fire with some poorly made variants. You know, when you see these things for like $10 or $15 on AliExpress or whatever, that's what you're getting. You know, you might have something that works, but it won't have these sort of features that stop you from setting fire to your own rucksack, and they probably won't last very long either. I doubt very much if those cheaper versions have the IP68. It runs 2 Osram P9 bulbs in there, so decent quality bulbs as well. That's the other thing you get with these. You know, there's all kinds of quality levels in the internals of these flashlights. Wuben do use decent quality components in there, so that's why they last a while. They've also got a pretty reasonable warranty, and they're good guys to deal with. The beam itself, a lot of people really like the beam on these for the headlamp feature. It gives a good throw of light, quite a wide throw. Ideal if you're running a headlamp and you're looking on the floor and around you, you know, it throws that sort of beam. It's not too focused. Focused beams are great for really niche applications, but if you want a general light, especially if you're clipping it on your front or you're clipping it on a backpack or something like that, you want something that throws a fairly wide beam, which this does. It will throw out to 132 meters according to documentation. I've thrown it out to about 100 meters. That's as far as I've got in the front area and just had a look across the road with it. No problem at all. It was illuminating the places opposite, certainly enough that you could see figures and stuff in the illuminated area. So it wouldn't be enough that you could make out great detail, but frankly, whatever light you're using, unless you've got a searchlight, some kind of industrial sort of thing that would take huge amounts of power, you're never going to get that kind of illumination at very long distances. But this is absolutely fine if you were looking for a missing person or looking for a missing animal, for example. It would certainly be enough to do that at 100 meters plus. Now we can see, as I've been using the flashlight and doing the review, it wasn't fully charged in the first place, but you can actually see now it's warning me the charge is starting to go down. You know, it's nearly at the lower end, so we're going to have to charge this one up soon. So these actually have a strobe mode as well, so if you needed to, you can just hit this 3 times, 1 2 3, strobe. We won't keep that going too long, but if you hit 3 again, so we go 1 2 3, strobe, 1 2 3, now we get into the SOS mode, so that'll actually signal the SOS Morse code, and that would be very, very useful if you're doing outdoor stuff and you needed to send a signal to anyone that happened to understand Morse code. That might be very useful to you. It's also a good way to send a flashing signal of any type, because people are always going to notice flashing more than a fixed light, and it's going to save a lot more battery than it would having the strobe on full time. Last but not least, you can lock these, so if we hit it 4 times, 1 2 3 4, it'll flash like so, and then we've completely locked the device. Whatever we do, that's not going to function. So if you are storing it away, you can still see how much battery you've got by just pressing on the back there, and it will let you know with a flash that you've got battery, but it's locked obviously. And then if you want to unlock it, 1 2 3 4, then we're back to normal function. So again, you can just hold that down, cycle through, absolutely fine. If I do end up getting the headband at some point, I'll probably just make a little short with the headband featured, but very, very useful. I'm going to put these out in the shed. I just needed a couple of small lights out there because I'm doing some close-up work sometimes, and although I've got a overhead light, it's not the best, and as I get older, frankly, I can't see things that well when I want to do really up close detailed work. So I just wanted a couple of these. You can actually magnetize them onto metal surfaces. We can see we've got the bar keep tool there from Twisted Assisted, reviewed that the other day, very useful, but really, really strong magnets on these, absolutely ideal. And it just suited me that I can have these little lights, they've got plenty of run time, and then I can just pop them onto the metal surfaces in the shed when I need to do that work. As always, very, very well priced by Wuben. You know, despite the extremely good engineering quality and quality of materials, I'm always surprised about the decent pricing, because I've seen flashlights from all kind of EDC companies and some of them are ridiculous money. You know, I've seen flashlights of this sort of quality in the $150, $200 price point. These are like sub $30. That's why it's worth buying 2 or 3 of them if you've got a use case for that. Certainly makes more sense than buying some of the really expensive bike lights I've seen out there. I've seen companies marketing lights for runners and cyclists where they're clipping something onto the front, either on a headband or on a hat or something, and they're charging a hell of a lot of money for something that isn't even of this quality. So sub $30, absolute bargain. I'll leave a link down below. As usual, I've got a discount code for Wuben, so use my discount code, make the most of that. That also generates a few pence for the channel, so I really do appreciate you using the links, and I also appreciate if you can like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. I'll catch you all next time.